And so for both you and I, let's again just be clear, that's not my only loss.
No, I had to pick one, and I had a
Yeah.
hard time choosing which one.
Yeah.
So I had another one that I kind of hid because I said, well, that's not in.
Yeah.
So yes, Mark, there'll be a Ray. There's a replay, YouTube, and everything else. So glad you could join us. So yes, so this is a strikeout. So we have a bunch more to go. Those who are just jumping in here, I see the numbers going up here. We have a bunch more. We're on strikeouts. We're talking about past deal numbers and whatnot. So we struck out on this deal, and we have a lot more strikeouts sometimes than we plan on it. And sometimes we know it's a bad deal and we took a risk. Some deals like this one, I plan on getting $30,000 to fix the house up to insurance money and then sell for 80 and be golden.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
And then it just didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
FYI, Beth from US Risk will be at
Yes.
DME.
Yes.
Get some free advice while you're there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it happened. So, I think when Dave and I were looking at this presentation and talking about it, part of what we wanted to get across is the gurus, when they talk about home runs all the time, that's nice, but that's not real. The reality is sometimes you're going to lose, and sometimes it's a 41% loss, and that's not fantastic, but it happens.
Yeah.
And so just be prepared. Nothing is guaranteed. This is not a magic pill. All right.
Absolutely. So, yep. All right, let's do it.
All right. So here's an example of a single for me, and Dave will get one too. So this is Clinton Avenue. Yep. This is out in Ohio. I don't remember exactly where, Cincinnati, Columbus, somewhere like that. Man, this was a tough one because I really tried for this lady. We'd had some communication, and I don't know exactly all that was going on. I know she'd gone through a bunch of difficult things in her life, and I really tried to help her stay and be able to take care of the house. The reality was, in the position she was currently in, she just couldn't afford it. And I tried to do like a cash her keys and give her something to help her on her way, and she just fell off, and I didn't get anything else going with her. So it was really too bad, but that it happens. In the end, it was a vacant property. She eventually moved on and found somewhere else to go. So I felt, some comfort in that, knowing that I didn't foreclose on a person. Typically when I foreclose, it's on an empty house.
Yeah.
It's about this one for $29,500. CMV on this was 60,000. Market value, we figured it was about 60,000. And then we started getting calls from the city saying that there's trash here and there's things that need to get fixed up and all that. This is when I still own the note. So first of all, I thought it was kind of interesting that I was getting calls from the city as the note holder, but I did. So, okay. And I explained to them, I don't have possession. I don't really have the right to do anything to this house yet because it's not mine. I can take some preventative measures, but they were very understanding and they worked with me there. And that's been my experience generally. If you do get something from the city saying that there's trash or grass needs to be cut, they're usually pretty understanding. They just want it cleaned up, and we all understand that nobody wants a dilapidated house on their street. But they're pretty understanding. We were able to work. Eventually, we went to foreclosure auction. I was a little bit surprised that this one sold at foreclosure auction. I didn't think there was that much equity. Yeah, but it sold for a little under 40,000. So not a ton of profit on this one. Made about $2,000, about 6% return. So not fantastic, but it was a win in the end. I was hoping for something a little bit better. I really expected that I was going to take back this property and then be able to resell it for $55,000, $60,000. So it should have been better, but somebody came in an auction, and that's the process. And so they ended up taking it, and that's how it goes sometimes.
So you can see
when
you have equity, you can't guarantee the equity is going to come to you.
No, it sounds really nice to say, oh, I've paid whatever, 29,000 for this, and the house is worth 60. I'm going to kill it. Or somebody will buy it for foreclosure auction and you don't. Something I think that I did really well on this one is I stayed in touch with the city. and just we were able to kind of smooth things over with them in the meantime, so we didn't incur any other liens or anything else. And so that was a good move.
Awesome.
Let's look at Dave's single.
Yes. So we this is a ground ball, right? This is a nice, simple, clean looking one per se, but ground balls aren't always so smooth and they hit a bump here or there.
Right.
So we bought it as a performer. It was second lien. We're excited by it. And we went ahead and it's in Texas. So we're in Edgemoor. During the owning of the asset, the borrower passed away, right? Not a killer situation. We're gonna deal with the heirs. Are they to keep it? Are they gonna pay for it or whatnot? Well, gladly enough that they paid for it a monthly. Then it defaulted, got 3 months behind, started my foreclosure process, got reinstatement. Then I had to pay forced place insurance on it because they were not paying for it. They weren't doing anything. It was not escrowed. Try to get a hold of the daughter. Unfortunately, the son was living there, so it was really not negotiation real well. So we kind of worked through our processes here. We purchased it for just under 18,000. We had a great CMV of 170. The first lien was about 100. Our UPB was 22,000. So we bought it for just under the UPB. One of the reasons was this was a 10% interest loan, a 10% interest loan, yes. So we didn't have to discount a lot, right? So those who go off 85% of UPB or whatever that goes out the wayside, it's a 10% loan. So I'm gonna have to buy it for a higher percent of the UPB simply because of that rate.
And this is a second?
Yes, this is a second.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So we bought it. We have our UPB, we have our value. We also have heirs we're dealing with. They stopped performing, they reperform and whatnot. But in the end, we started 2 foreclosures and got 2 reinstatements, but then we made our profit, right? And this has continued to progress. We're still making some money. We're hoping it'll continue. What's hold it down is we're paying for forced place insurance. And unfortunately, they're doing a 2-year plan for stuff. And I'm trying to get them over to a 1-year plan, but I don't want to put them over the edge. So we're really kind of getting an 8.5% return right now on it, which should increase. We just got reinstatement last week, so we're hoping that it will kick back up. So the lesson learned, which is the next bullet, is the fact that performers can default, right? We teach this all the time. Your financial calculators say everything's great, but you can default and foreclosures can happen. So, but they also may stay performing, but might be beyond bumpy. You don't know what's going to happen in these assets. Because it's not performing doesn't mean it's going to turn performing and reinstate, which means you can't mod. And some performers default for any reason. In this case, a borrower passed away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, things happen.
This is crazy.
So I kind of going back to what we were saying at the beginning, why do you need it properly underwritten and everything? Because this happens. And then you're going to have to deal with it. And if it's not done properly in the beginning, you're going to have a hard time getting through the foreclosure.
Absolutely. And just know the fact that this was actually boarded with the servicer wrong at first, which is even crazier. It was because of the mod in 2010, and it moved off the arm. It was supposed to be interest loans. The rate was supposed to be higher. So we had to do a lot of negotiations. Right now, they just reinstated for like $6,000. We're hoping it will for 4,200, I think it was. So we're hoping that it will kind of bump up everything. Once we get the money in hand, our return maybe dropped a little higher, but I'm expecting it to reinstate, default, reinstate, default, reinstate, default, and just that bumpy ride.
And then are you just going to hang on to this one, just knowing that that's going to be the pattern?
Yeah, it's a situation where it's a low UPB and all that stuff. We'll hope that it will just kind of, with the reinstatement, we should get up to like 11, 12, which is fine. We'll be okay with that. But yeah,
eventually it'll pay off and then all done. But yeah.
Okay. So doubles. We're gonna hit some doubles now. We're gonna get a little bit farther around that baseline.
A little further, a little bit.
We're on the what, right?
Straight line, whatever.
We were on the who base. Now we're on the what.
Yeah.
What's on second?
Yes. So this is one. It was a non-performing loan that I resold. So this was kind of an interesting one. Loop and Drive. This was in Reno, Nevada. which is already kind of unusual. We don't see a lot of western half of the country notes. So this is kind of a cool one.